Greetings and welcome. It's Monday Meets the Marketplace, and how did it go today? Monday's the day where you make your week go better. And did you have a plan for Monday? Did you have a way of being intentional about today? And so when you hit Tuesday, are you more and more prepared to make sure that as you continue through the cycle of the week, that it will go well for you? Just thought I would ask. My job is to be occasionally a little bit of a professional nudge, just to remind you of what you might want to do that's important. Today I'd like to talk to you about let me explain. Let me explain. Those are powerful words, oftentimes necessary words, and I'm going to talk to you about let me explain, along with the story of, indeed, God wants you to be an entrepreneur. That's what we're going to do today on, you guessed it, it starts right now, The Jesus Entrepreneur. And we are back. Once again, our website, it's a web stage, is ready for you to kind of see the shows and find out more about how we can help you build your business. Please visit me and my colleagues at tcenglobal.org. tcenglobal.org. And I still want you people to start raising your hands and then saying at radioedge77@gmail.com, radioedge77@gmail.com. Stan, I have something I would like to share with you and your listeners worldwide on the Jesus Entrepreneur. Perhaps some wisdom, some insight, some truths that will truly help us to build a life, build a business, and expand our brand, and do so in a way that makes Jesus smile. So I'd love to hear from you. What I did this weekend, I went back and found a few of my old videos. Now, I've got a ton of stuff, and I'm going to start bringing this stuff forward to help you do some of the things that I learned to do that will help you build your entrepreneurial business. And what I did is I took my little 13-minute video. You know, we do kind of what it takes, teach about 12 to 20 minutes, kind of an imitation of the TED Talk. And the video is fine. However, this is radio. So what I did, with your permission, and I did this show as a prelude to a program that I had done that was now being published online by one of the major online production companies. I have around 30,000 people who watch my classes and courses around the world. And this was an introduction to the video course called God Wants You to Be an Entrepreneur. And of course, that title got some people shocked, and I can understand why. So what I'd like to do today is I would like very, very much to just play the audio of that video and then ask you to pay attention to it and then raise your hand and ask me some questions, because there will be a number of things that will kind of shake you up a bit, perhaps challenge you. I guarantee it will help you. So thank you for your time for the next 13 minutes. Here we go. The program is, and it's by me, Let Me Explain. Greetings. I'm Stan Houston, and let me explain. Those are words that we have to use from time to time. Obviously, if we've gotten in trouble and people have misunderstood what we were about, or somehow we have to defend ourselves, or whatever, we oftentimes say, let me explain. Well, let me explain. And this isn't a defense or anything wrong. I just simply want to explain to you a little bit of the title of my new course and class that might be helpful and useful to you. As I pointed out, I have just produced a course that's been published by one of the top publishers in the business of online teaching and training, the Udemy Corporation, and it's simply called God Wants You to Be an Entrepreneur. And right off the bat, some people say, what? What are you talking about? God, entrepreneurship? How do you know what God wants? There we are. Let me explain. First of all, let me just teach you a little bit about marketing and teaching and training and how that might work. Now, originally I thought of entitling the class kind of a question. Does God want you to be an entrepreneur? And of course, the answer to that, I could have very carefully said, it all depends, and then go about the class. However, what I decided to do was do something that I used to teach young people to do, particularly many years ago when I was working in college education, working with primarily freshman students who were just starting off into the world of academic preparation and the life before them. And one of the things we oftentimes told them was, make a TC. And then they said, Stan, Mr. Houston, Professor Houston, what's a TC? And I oftentimes said, a TC is a truth claim. You're claiming that something is true, that you believe it to be true. Now, generally, we kind of hedge ourselves. We say, in my opinion, I believe, I think, it appears to me, or could it be? Now, those are all good things to say. And I use them all the time when I'm teaching people how to be good communicators. But from time to time, it's good to make a TC, a truth claim. And you say, this is true. And then other people have to say, and here are some great questions, well, what do you mean by that? How do you know that? Or, so what? What difference does it make? Those are three great questions, and we're going to have another WIP presentation about that sometime, and I think you'll find it helpful. The three great clarity questions. But I do know that by putting that in the front of the hundreds, maybe thousands, maybe millions of people who go through Udemy, and I'm fortunate that just in the brief time I've been doing this, I now have close to 3,000 students from 113 different countries. Amazing what online education and teaching and training is going to be about. And one of the things I'm going to be challenging you, my dear friends, is to do exactly what the master teacher said, go and teach. All of us are called to be teachers. Another class that I'm thinking of doing is fire your CEO. In fact, I would say right now we need to abolish the position of CEO. Now, there's a truth claim for you, and you're going to say is, well, what do you mean by that? Well, that's for another time. And now you see what I'm doing by saying God wants you to be an entrepreneur. I've got us thinking. I've got us challenging. I've got us questioning. We're in communication. Now, one of the things I teach people is that communication is never just about information. Good communication is always about relationship. And so what we have is, we have this information kind of sitting here. But it's coming from me, and it's going to you. Now, that means that if it's really going to be something that works, it's going to bring the two of us together so that our stories meet. Now, eventually, we may decide that there are things about what we say and what we do that may separate us again because we've got some profound differences. But what happens is that we discover that it's not just information we're about, it is about relationship. And all good communication is about relationship. Now, just to give you a brief idea of why I did what I did. God wants you to be an entrepreneur. Now, you'll find out after you get past the headline that I will soften that by saying, or at least perhaps, He wants you to think and act like one. Oh, well, what do you mean by that? You see, now we're beginning to gain some relationship, some communication, and some clarity. And in my little class, it's about an hour and 15 minutes. in which I've discovered that's about the maximum that I can really keep people's attention, is I have to have a high energy presentation in which I make my case. At the same time, if I'm doing a good job, I will also go against my case, and in doing so, I will demonstrate that perhaps I've been thoughtful about the entire question. Because what you will discover is that in my class, God wants you to be an entrepreneur. I may say, well, you know what? If you can't accept or believe this, maybe you're not cut out for it. Maybe that doesn't apply to you. And once again, I soften and bring people in so that everybody is led to their own choice. Now, what I oftentimes say that in a Stan Houston teaching session or class, what happens is that hopefully you're going to find some new creative information. A number of years ago, I was kind of applying to be a consultant to a major corporation. And the guy who was interviewing me, and he was really kind of a smart aleck, and he looked me in the eye and he said, it seems that you're kind of a smart guy. You've got a lot of experience. Then he paused and he said, Mr. Houston, tell me something I don't know. How would you like to have an interview question like that? Tell me something I don't know. And I thought back, and gently but kindly I simply said, well, here's an idea that has recently come to me. And I stated it kindly, and I think clearly. I'm pretty good on my feet as a radio broadcaster. And he paused and said, that's interesting. I guess I passed the test. I still didn't get the gig, but at least I passed the question test. I really want that the things we have, the content that we have, if it's any good, first of all, it will have perhaps some creativity to it. It'll be something you didn't know, where you say, well, you know, I thought I knew everything about fear. I thought I knew about getting a good job. I thought I knew all about entrepreneurship. I thought I knew everything I needed to know about God. And here's a little bit of something perhaps I didn't know. And what I wanted to do is, it's not just a course of information. It will always be, because of that, a course that will challenge you. Not necessarily confront you, but you are left with the challenge of making a decision about what you believe or what you think, and then you are at choice. You don't have to accept me. You don't have to believe me. You don't have to accept the things or the truth claims I make. But what has happened is that now you are in a better place. You have greater clarity. You have greater conviction. You have greater certainty, if that's possible, about what you know, what you believe, and perhaps what you're going to do. So what I hope will happen is that at every class I teach, you will be led to the point of understanding a little bit about more about what you want to do. Now, one of the reasons I also use the thing, God wants you to be an entrepreneur, is I believe that behind every great project, every great life project, every great and good thing, there is a theology. There is a deep belief about God, the world, and human beings and the human condition. And we really always start there. I think if you're going to make a decision about entrepreneurship and vocation and career, you might need to ask yourself the question, is there a God? Does it have anything to do with it? When I choose a vocation, should I just choose it on the basis of money? Or should I make other choices or other considerations when I'm deciding about how I'm going to live my life? And that's a project. And behind every project, there is some great belief if it's worthwhile. And your life is worthwhile. And your life has to be guided by purpose, beliefs, convictions, and clarity. And even in a very simple way, the great company Procter & Gamble, do you know how it got started? It got started on the basis of a theology. What actually happened was that there's an expression, cleanliness is next to godliness. Well, that's a truth claim. That's a belief. Well, if that's true, the man or woman or the people who are behind Procter & Gamble in its early days said, well, then we better build a place where we can make soap so people can get clean, because that's important. It certainly was not God theology, but it was certainly a theology when Steve Jobs, and by the way, I want you to watch another video that I have done about Steve Jobs, simply said that he believed that finally, when somebody had the ability to have a small personal computer, that it would change the world. It would change the world, the ability to have your own computer. That was almost a theological, certainly a philosophical belief. And so what I want you to do is to understand that I'm encouraging you as you begin to follow some of the classes and courses and the what it takes stuff that we do, that it's about understanding that we come in seeking clarity, asking good questions, that we're seeking creativity, we're seeking communication, we're seeking relationships, and then we're seeking to make good choices. Because what it takes today, more and more, we need clarity. We need communication. We need good theology. We need people who are inspired, who have purpose and wisdom. They're seeking wisdom, insight, and truth. And then they're going to try and live their lives and make a difference. Not only in their own world, but in the world. And I'm simply going to challenge you to see if perhaps together we can learn better what it takes and how to do just that. So thank you for your time. Thank you for thinking. I hope you'll think about taking my class. And there'll be other good classes coming along. And perhaps watch the video on the Steve Jobs story. All the best and blessings. And bye for now. Thank you for your time. Thank you for your attention. I trust this has been helpful and useful to you. Again, if you have any questions, radioedge77@gmail.com, radioedge77@gmail.com. I have 25 plus years, and that's as a business performance coach, and I've got a number of years more than that as an audio, radio, TV performer, and I can help you do that too. So how can I help you get better at doing your business so that you can live a life, build a business that honors God, expand your brand, your territory, your sphere of influence so that you can do good things with the good gifts God has given you? We'd like to help you. Again, visit us at tcenglobal.org, tcenglobal.org. We'll be back tomorrow. Until then, bye for now.